Hey loves, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to learn how to make this trendy top with this trendy sleeve. So in today's tutorial I'll take you guys step by step on how I achieved this look on this top. So the top is not my size, it is actually bigger than me, but I used my body to show you guys how it looks like. So I'll first of all start by cutting the bodice. My fabric is on fold already, so I'll go ahead and measure out my off shoulder. The off shoulder is at 6. Then from there I'll mark the bust point, the under bust, the half length and the full length of the blouse. I want the full length to be 23. You can make it 22 or 20 depending, and then add 2 inches seam allowance for the folding. Then after that I'll go ahead and rule the lines, and after ruling the lines I'll measure my dart line, that is 4. I'll make sure that I mark the dart line from the neckline to the full length of the blouse. So after that I'll go ahead and rule the dart line. So after ruling the dart line, I'll go ahead and subtract 1 inch, sorry, I'll go ahead and subtract 1 inch on each side of this dart. I'll start at the under bust. I'll mark 1 inch on the center and 1 inch on the other side. So after marking this 1 inch, I'll go ahead and rule the line down. Like the 1 inch will be extended to the full length of the blouse or the top. Then at the neckline I'll do my upper bust tightening. So at the neckline I will subtract 1 inch on each side of the dart as well. So after that I will connect to my bust point. Then after doing that I'll go ahead and take my bust measurements divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance. The reason why I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance to this is because the blouse or the top, the material that I'm using is stretchy. So at the waistline I will measure my waist divided by 4. Then I will add 2 inches for that before adding 1 inch for the normal seam allowance. Remember that I subtracted 1 inch on each side of the dart. That's why I added 2 inches before adding 1 inch for seam allowance. Then after that I will draw a straight line down. The blouse is stretchy, so I don't want it to have an A shape or anything. It will be fitted. Then I'll also go ahead and mark my neckline and then cut. So first of all I'll cut out the side and I'll cut the dart line. If you want to use a normal dart for this, you can use a normal dart, but if you check the picture on the thumbnail you'll notice that it has a dart. That's why I decided to add this type of dart, and this one is also perfect for the bust here. So I'll go ahead and cut out the full length. So after cutting, this is what the front part will look like. It will not have any pad nor lining because it is stretchy and thick as well. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back part. For the back part I will not add any dart to it. Like I said, the fabric is stretchy, it will fit. So I'll place the front on it. I'll place it this way. You can see the way I am placing it. The breast curve area will overlap. To overlap this way. Then you can go ahead and cut out the back, and that's all. So for the neckline for the back will be deeper than that of the front, so you are free to make the neckline you want. You can make it a straight neckline as well, but for this one I added a v-neck at the back. So I'll go ahead and notch my zipper allowance so that I'll know where my zipper will stop, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the neckline. So here is it, and if I open up the back neckline, you can see that it is two. I did not add any zipper allowance and it will not have any dart, so I will use a facing for the neckline for both the front and the back. So the next thing is the sleeve. I have folded this into 4. That means if I cut it, I will have 2 sleeves. I folded it twice. So for the sleeve, the length will be 25 inches. It will be 25 because if you notice, the sleeve is a kind of long. You can make it 27 or 28 if you want. So but I made this one 25 plus 2 inches for folding. That would be 27. Then I was supposed to subtract 4 inches for the off shoulder, but instead I made it 6 because this sleeve will have a band. So it was supposed to be at 4, but I marked 6 because I will add a band that is 2 inches there. So after adding the band, it will now be at 4 inches because this sleeve will have gathers around the shoulder parts. I don't know if you get. So I'll measure my round sleeve, that is my wrists. I'll measure my wrists, and from the wrist to the ankle will be fitted. I don't know if you get. From the wrists, that is from the wrist of the sleeve to the elbow. Sorry, from the wrist to the elbow will be fitted. The elbow will be at somewhere around 15 inches. So from that place to the elbow will be very fitted. Then from there you will slant because this sleeve will have, let's say, just small gathers around the shoulder part. So this is how the shape will be. If you want, you can also increase the wideness around the shoulder part. So I'll go ahead and cut. Then after cutting, you will cut a band. Like I told you guys, you will add a band to the shoulder part. So this is what it will look like. So you gather this area and you have your sleeve. So I'll go ahead and cut out my band. So here is the band, and the wideness of the band will be 6 inches plus half-inch seam allowance. So if you add the band to the sleeve, I'll show you guys how it look like. So here is one piece of the sleeve. So the upper part will have a band. The band is on fold now. So here is the band. Then you go ahead and gather the sleeve around the band. That is how the men's sleeve will be. So after cutting the men's sleeve, we will now cut the drape part. There's this place that look like a drape. So I'll fold my fabric. So this drapes has it has like 3 different drapes or 3 tiers. So you have the longest one, the middle one, and the last one. So the longest one, the length will be 30 inches. That is for seam allowance. The length of the longest one will be 30 inches, 15 inches on fold. Then I will mark, that is where 15 inches is. So you connect a line. So from the upper parts of the where from the place where you folded, you come down by 4 inches, and on the other side, this open part, you come down by 3 inches. So at that folded part, you come down by 4 inches. 4 inches. Then on the open side, you curve it to the edge of the open side. This is how the curve will look. Then from that upper part of the open side, you come down by 3 inches. You come down by 3 inches. Then you measure the length of the tear. So this one will be 8 inches. So I will curve it like this. I don't know if you get. So the folded parts will be a kind of curve. It will not be straight. So this is how the first drape will look like. So you go ahead and cut the second and the third. So this one is 30 inches, the other one will be 25, and the other one will be 30. So this will be 20. So this is the smallest one. It is 10 inches. It is 10 inches, I mean the length. So I've also curved. The first one is 30 inches long, and the wideness is 8 inches. The second one is 25 inches long, and the wideness is 7 inches. Then this last one is 20 inches long, and the wideness is 6 inches. The first will be 8, the second will be 7, and the last will be 6 inches. Then the length will be 5 inches difference. So here is how they look. This is the first and the second tier, or the second step, and I'll also place the third step. The third step is the widest. So I have just one piece each. So you go ahead and make them two. You make them two, that is 3 for the right sleeve and 3 for the left sleeve. So you go ahead and cut the lining. On a normal day, you are supposed to use the fabric for the lining, but I am running out of fabric already, so I used the fabric as a lining for only the smallest one, because I'm running out of fabric. But if you have enough fabric, use your fabric as the lining. I don't know if you get. So this is the smallest one. I'll go ahead and use it as the fabric as the lining. So here is the lining for the smallest part. So for the remaining ones, I will use a normal lining for them because I'm running out of fabric. So I'll go ahead and cut the lining for them. So I am done cutting the lining. So here is the front part. I have joined the center and the side pieces together, and this is how they look like. So I'll go ahead and curve the neckline very well. I'll curve it the way I want and then cut out the facing. This is how it looks. So I'll cut the facing for it. So here is the fabric that I'll use for the facing. It is on fold as well. So I'll place the bust, the front part on it, and then cut the facing. So I'll go ahead and turn the neckline with the facing. If you want to achieve a neat job, turn the fabric with a facing instead of a bias. So this is how it will look like. I also did the same thing for the back. I did not use a bias, I used a facing. If you are sewing a stretchy fabric, it's advisable for you to use a facing because it will help the neckline to be elastic as well. So if it will help the neckline to expand. If you use a bias might not allow the neckline to expand, especially if you are sewing an off shoulder. So here is the back. I have turned it with a facing as well. So I have joined the front and the back, and I have folded the lower part, and I've ironed very well as well. So the next thing is to cut the armhole. I'll trace the armhole very well. So I am trimming the armhole now. So after trimming the armhole, I'll go ahead and add my zip and then keep the main bodice aside. Then the next thing is the sleeve. So here are the tiers, here are the drape parts. I have turned each of them with its lining. So I'll go ahead and place them together. I've placed the shortest one first, so the second one, and I'll also place the third one. So I'll go ahead and join all of them by the side. So before doing that, I'll go ahead and pin them together so that it will guide me when I am sewing. So I'll go ahead and pin. I'll pin it on the fabric, on the sleeve this way. So I'll go ahead and hold it down on the sleeve. I'll repeat the same thing for the other one, and I'll also add my band. So after joining it on the sleeve, this is how the drape part will look like. You can see it is looking so beautiful. So after doing that, you go ahead and attach your band. So after attaching the band, you will trim the armhole for the sleeve as well. So this is how I would do it. And after joining it to the men bodice to the blouse, this is how it will look like. As you can see, the drape part is very beautiful. This is not my size, so when the owner wears it, it will fit so well on her body. I just wanted to use my body to show you guys how it looked like. So this is the final look of our blouse, and please feel free to ask questions and drop your video requests. So guys, here is the final look of the dress. Do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. See you in my next video. Bye.